From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
American Door Company has been family-owned and operated for over 29 years, supplying Northern California with quality garage doors, garage door openers, and installed with the best service you'd expect from a locally owned company. We serve all of Northern California from Willows all the way up to the Oregon state line. Give us a call today.
Well, of course, the big story, the big thing everyone's talking about, the heat wave that's heading our way. Now, it's going to be slow to get here. We're going to notice a warming trend, and it's going to be a bit warmer today than it was yesterday before we see another slight dip tomorrow and then a big increase by the time we get into Friday, and not to mention this weekend. So, yeah, the big heat arrives later this weekend, and we're talking about the potential for either tying or even quite possibly breaking some records. It's going to be really close in a lot of cases here. Now, the valley for today, I think many of us may just dodge that triple-digit mark, but it's going to be close. I think Redding could quite possibly touch 100 degrees, not to mention Red Bluff, but Chico most likely staying somewhere in the mid-90s for those highs. Now, for the mountains, obviously cooler. Temperatures in the 80s, even some low 90s in there as well. But overall, we're not going to see a big increase in our temperatures for today from what we saw yesterday. Now, that all being said, the National Weather Service throughout the day, all the different surrounding offices, you got the one in Medford, you got the one in Reno, down in Sacramento, and not to mention the one in Eureka. Sometimes they all kind of come together and they decide to issue everything all at once. However, they kind of come out during different times of the day and not to mention even the week. So, as it stands right now, you can see all of these darker areas of red is where we have the excessive heat watch. You'll notice it does not include most of Modoc and Siskiyou counties. It does not include the inland areas of Del Norte and Humboldt counties. But quite honestly, I think we should be looking at some advisories here as well. It's going to get quite hot there, maybe even getting close to some records as well. I want to show you the overall trend, not to mention the normal high is 100 degrees for Redding, right? So you can see temperatures is kind of hovering around, or maybe even just below that, at least through tomorrow. But then we see a big spike on Friday, and especially over the weekend. It peaks on Saturday, Sunday, and then temperatures start to slowly drop after that. So, where's all this heat coming from? We'll be talking about over the desert Southwest, but even Southern California is getting in on it. And take a look at this excessive heat warning. It's in effect right now, and it's in effect through next Monday. So, all this week into the weekend. So, you want to talk about a period of heat that's going to last for a while. It's over Southern California and the desert Southwest. It's not going to last as long for us. So we look at the outlook here, the next 6 to 10 days. We have really the main heat down to our south and east, but you can see how it's getting into Northern California. Okay, now we take in the next 8 to 14 days. You see how it's kind of pushing back down to the south and east. Again, it's not this prolonged period of 110 plus degree temperatures like it is going to be in parts of Southern California, not to mention Arizona as well. So take you through Thursday. The heat, look at that, over Southern California, right? Then we go into Friday and Saturday. See how it starts to migrate northward. So we've got the bubble of heat on top of us. This is the peak of the heat wave for Northern California. But again, keep in mind, Southern California, they're still dealing with some excessive heat. Now, here's the good news. And I actually had someone comment and say, how is that good news? It's normal. Well, I think a lot of people still don't like the heat, even if it is normal, right? So you take you into early next week, and you see how that heat pushes back down over the desert Southwest, and you've got temperatures dropping again. But here's another thing that I'm watching. It's kind of interesting. I want to show you futurecast in the clouds and the rain. Notice this kind of this clockwise flow. The positioning of that high pressure system, this is where the main heat is, so that'll be over us over the weekend. But by the time we get into, say, Sunday, Monday in particular, that high pressure is down over to our south and east over the Four Corners region. The positioning of that gives us that clockwise rotation around that high, and we see the monsoon moisture make its way into Northern California. Now, a couple of things with that. Number one, you'll notice that the humidity will probably increase. Temperatures will still be warm, just not as hot as they were. And there's also potential for thunderstorms when we have the monsoon moisture move in. So a lot of things to kind of look into: the heat, the monsoon moisture, the potential for thunderstorms as we go into especially early next week when we could see that potential for those thunderstorms. Okay, all right, so let's kind of get you to today. And here you can see temperatures mid to upper 90s for the valley. For the mountains, mainly in the 80s, although some of the warmer spots like Weaverville about 94, 93 for Hayfork, Wairika about 90, and Mount Shasta City about 88 degrees. We take a look at that 7-day forecast, and you can see temperatures actually dropping just a tad for everyone as we go into your Wednesday before they start to go back up. Again, you can see a slow to increase. It's really not until Friday that we'll see a noticeable increase in our temperatures, and even more so over the weekend. And that's pretty much the same story for the valley as well. I'm expecting those temperatures to obviously exceed 100 degrees, especially as we get into about Thursday. But Chico, probably not until Friday that you start to see those triple digits. Again, the peak is over the weekend. And then as we go into early next week, still very hot, but at least we're starting to see a downward trend in those temperatures.